Hello, dear little listeners. Today I'm going to tell you the story Prince Peter Eats the Sun. Once upon a time in the land of Sunnyvale, there lived a prince named Peter. Prince Peter was a very picky eater. He knew what he liked and he liked what he knew. Mondays he had meatballs. Tuesdays he had tacos. Wednesdays he had waffles. Thursdays he had three topping pizza. Fridays he had fondue. Saturdays he had soup. Sundays were Prince Peter's favorite day because on Sundays he had spaghettis. Every week his menu was the same. And that's how Prince Peter liked it. He liked it so much that he decreed these meals to be the royal menu of his land. Food factories and production plants were built to keep up the demand. Soon, stores were stocked with packs of meatballs, bags of tacos, boxes of waffles, bundles of frozen pizza, cartons of freeze dried fondue, cans of soup, and jars of spaghetti. At first, people of Sunnyvale enjoyed eating such convenient meals and looked forward to knowing exactly what each day's menu would include. But before long, Prince Peter and his people were not feeling well. Their minds felt fuzzy and their bodies felt tired. The prince called in his royal policy makers for advice. They recommended injecting vitamins into each meals to power up people's bodies. And they recommended adding extra flavoring to the foods to excite people's minds. The food factories and production plants became busy adding new vitamins and flavors to the meals. Now, stores' shelves were stocked with packs of mighty monster sized meatballs, bags of tangy tart tacos, boxes of wild whipped waffles, bundles of frozen plumped up pizzas, cartons of freeze dried futuristic fondue, cans of souped up soup, and even jars of supersonic sweetened spaghetti. Prince Peter and his people eagerly ate the new food, but the added vitamins did not make their bodies strong, and the new flavors failed to unfuzz their minds. In fact, they felt less energized and more confused than ever. To clear his head, the prince took a walk through his royal garden. Playing in the perfectly plugged hedge were seven smiling children. Prince Peter recognized them as the family of the royal gardener, Mrs. Sunbody. Mrs. Sunbody was happily humming to herself while pruning and trimming the bushes. She noticed Prince Peter looking perplexed and smiled at him. She called her seven children over to greet the prince. Together, the Sunbodies bowed and cheerfully chanted, "Good day, Your Highness." Prince Peter gazed back and said, "Good day, Sunbodies. Please go back to playing. If I had your energy, I would play too." Being a wise and caring mother, Mrs. Sunbody felt sympathy for the prince. She had noticed him looking less sunny lately, and she had an idea of how to help. "Prince Peter, would you please join us for Sunday supper at our farm? We would be honored to have you as our guest." "Of course, we will be serving your favorite spaghetti." Prince Peter liked the Sunbodies and he had never visited a farm. "Thank you, Mrs. Sunbody. I would be delighted to join your family for supper," said the prince, and he meant it. That Sunday, Prince Peter traveled past white green fields dotted with sparkling blue ponds. He smiled at the ducks, goats, chickens, and cows all grazing on the grass as he made his way to the Sunbody's farmhouse. Farmer Sunbody and Mrs. Sunbody warmly welcomed the prince while their children happily helped set 10 places At a long picnic table, when the children saw Prince Peter, they greeted him with their smiling faces and freshly picked blooms from their garden. He was eager to enjoy his favorite meal with such a friendly family, but the prince was in for a surprise. Instead of his usual bowl of supersonic sweetened spaghetti, Peter was served a plate of golden spaghetti squash, topped with ruby red tomato sauce and sprinkled with fresh green basil leaves and goat cheese crumbles. Farmer Sunbody raised his glass to the prince and said, "Your Highness, thank you for joining us for supper. Here at our farm, we grow all of our food in the garden and fields. Even our farm animals eat our grass and hay. This spaghetti isn't supersonic, but it is farm fresh. We humbly hope you enjoy the meal." How could spaghetti grow on a farm? Wondered the prince. He imagined giant spaghetti trees with oodles of noodles for branches. To the prince, cheered Mrs. Sunbody. "Let's eat," cheered the children. Looking around the table, Prince Peter saw the Sunbodies enthusiastically waiting for him to take the first bite of the colorful meal. Summoning all of his princely manners, he bravely took a forkful of his suspicious spaghetti. As he chewed, the prince's eyes grew big and bright, and his tongue's taste buds tingled. The mystery meal tasted delicious. The Sunbodies were delighted. While the children cheerfully chatted, Prince Peter asked Farmer and Mrs. Sunbody, "Please tell me what secret ingredient was added to make such scrumptious spaghetti." Mrs. Sunbody smiled knowingly at the prince and said, "Everything we eat shares one special ingredient. It's not a secret, but it is very powerful." The prince put forth a royal request. "My dear Sunbodies, I would like to return with my royal policy makers so that we may learn about this special ingredient and share it with the kingdom." "Of course, please join us for supper tomorrow. It will be Monday, so we will be serving meatballs," replied Mrs. Sunbody. "Meatballs from our farm," added Farmer Sunbody with a wink. "Thank you," replied the prince politely, and he imagined mounds of meatballs growing in a garden. "Hooray!" cheered the seven little Sunbodies, and they meant it. On Monday, Prince Peter and his royal policy makers enjoyed mouth-watering mushrooms meatballs over rice. On Tuesday, they enjoyed tasty pinto bean tacos in tortilla shells. On Wednesday, they enjoyed wonderful whole grain waffles with apples and cinnamon. On Thursday, they enjoyed thrilling three topping pizza with lemon thyme leaves, thinly sliced tomatoes, and thick mozzarella. On Friday, they enjoyed fresh fruit and veggies dipped in fontina fondue. On Saturday, they enjoyed satisfying baby carrot soup with sour cream. By Sunday, Prince Peter and his royal advisers were bursting with energy and curiosity. They all wondered, what was the Sunbody's special ingredient? "Extra added vitamins?" asked the prince. "Extra added minerals?" asked the royal policy makers. Mrs. Sunbody simply smiled and said, "We don't need to add anything extra to our food. It grows completely nutritious and delicious thanks to our special ingredient." The prince could not stand the suspense any longer. "What is the special ingredient?" he asked anxiously. The seven Sunbody children giggled. "We eat the sun," they exclaimed. "The sun?" repeated Prince Peter, even more royally confused. "That's impossible," blurted a royal policy maker. "Nobody can eat the sun." Mrs. Sunbody kept smiling as she explained. All living things need energy. People need energy to grow and move and think. Plants grow food by storing energy from the sun. When we eat the food from plants, our bodies and minds receive the sun's energy, making us feel lighter and brighter. No wonder we feel so sunny, exclaimed a royal policymaker. We must alert the food factories to find a formula that adds sunshine to all the royal meals. Farmer Sunbody frowned and spoke to Prince Peter. Excuse me, Your Highness. Sunny food is grown by living plants, not manufactured in processing plants. The prince used his royally clear mind to think about what the farmer meant. Finally, he understood just what to do to help the people of Sunnyvale feel sunnier. The very same day, Prince Peter decreed that the food factories of Sunnyvale would be converted to farmers' markets. Mrs. Sunbody was appointed Sunnyvale's royal food policy maker. Farmer Sunbody planted new fields to keep up the demand for fresh food from the farm. Prince Peter became a very sunny eater. He knew what he liked and he liked what he knew. And thanks to the sun bodies, he knew that the best food of all is best with energy from the sun. Now the people of Sunnyvale will live healthily and happily ever after, cheered the prince. And he meant it. The end. I hope you enjoyed this Sunny Eaters story. Thanks for watching.